Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are here with the first installment of our March Saints that you probably don't know.
Yes, and
in this case, you really probably don't know them.
Yes. March is one of those fun months for saints because at least part of it is always in Lent. Sometimes the whole thing is in Lent, so things get moved around. Like if you're an important enough saint, they put you on a different month altogether. They're like, well, they died then, but this was the day they became a priest, so we're moving it to this day.
So the majority of saints their feast day is observed on the day that they were born into eternal life. But because there are very few saints' days during Lent, just a couple override, they try to move as many as possible to other dates.
Mm-hmm. So for March, instead of going through like a multiple days things, we're going to go and work on just a couple of days of saints that picked the worst days to die.
Not that they really picked the day, but if you are going to die and be a saint, this is not the day you want to do that.
Yep. No, the first one is technically a day that's only a problem if you are American and to a lesser degree Irish, because Americans celebrate St. Patrick's Day more than the Irish do. Mm-hmm. They treat it much like how we treat the Immaculate Conception. Well, I got to go to church, and I guess that's pretty much it. But anyway, there are other saints whose feast day is March 17th that you've probably never heard of because
no one is lobbying their bishop for a dispensation when March 17th is on a Friday. No one else is dyeing rivers bizarre colors because of them. They just don't have the cultural purchase that good old St. Patrick has.
Yes.
So, some of the lesser known saints of March 17th.
First off is Blessed Peter Lieou. I'm going to assume that that's how it's pronounced because it's almost all the vowels. But it's Chinese, so I'm not sure I got that one right.
Pardon us.
Yep. But they died March 17th, 1834. They were a Chinese convert who was exiled to Mongolia.
That's rough.
When allowed to return, worked as a missionary until martyred by one of my least favorites of the martyrdoms, strangulation.
That really is rough.
Yeah.
Yeesh. We also have St. Paul of Cyprus. Died 760, martyred by being tortured and burned to death for not following an iconoclastic emperor. Yeesh.
We're off to a fantastic start.
Okay, we number 3 is one that you A, probably heard of, and B, as far as we know, we can't say for sure they were martyred. We can't say they weren't murdered either, as far as I know.
Can we say given when they died, can we say for certain that they died on the 17th of March?
Sure.
I mean, they probably picked this day
That's
to be
when
their
the feast
day.
is.
All right. Oh, this is when the feast is. Okay.
Yeah.
St. Joseph of Arimathea.
Yes, who you may know from the Bible.
That Joseph of Arimathea
died. Hey, Pilate, can I have Jesus' body? That guy, yes.
Died in the 1st century, patron saint of funeral directors.
That is super appropriate.
Yeah. Can I have his body? I'd like to bury it.
Listen, I've already got a tomb. He can use mine. What a mensch.
He's already got a tomb because he believed in good, sound, end-of-life planning.
You can't just leave these things up to the last second.
You can.
You don't want your grieving relatives having to make these important decisions.
No. You really don't want your grieving relatives to make these decisions, especially given the number of Catholic families that are not wholly Catholic families anymore.
That's a whole nother video.
Yes.
I mean, in his case, there's the issue of the Jewish rule that you bury them before sunset. So, you didn't have time to do a bunch of stuff. Like, I was listening to a podcast, and I'm amazed that they did not point out, essentially, what jerks the reporters were being. Because it was talking about Victorian people who were buried alive. And they had this one story about this Jewish woman who essentially went into a coma where they were setting up to bury her. And, like, the entire time, they're like, the newspaper of the Victorian era is like, I can't understand why in the world they would want to bury her so quickly. Her husband wasn't even in town. Clearly, this is a rush job, and they actually did bury her alive the second time, too, and it's like, but that was how they did things.
There's a law that says we have to do this.
Like, I totally get the Victorian era being like, they're mostly dead. Let's wait another few hours.
I'm sure it won't stink so bad.
Because they were very bad at determining if someone was dead.
Mm-hmm. Poke, poke.
Anyway.
Just remember, if you are ever buried alive, calmly, placidly, and with full hope, accept your fate.
Especially if you're almost 100 years old and wrote one of the masterpieces of Christian literature.
You don't want a moment's panic to sabotage your cause for canonization.
Exactly.
Poor Scratchy.
That totally was not why he wasn't canon. He was one of those ones that slipped through the cracks.
Head canon.
Yep. All right, next one.
So, on March 17th, we have Saint Jan Sarkander. Died.
Huh. We have a birthday for him.
Born on December 20th. That's a fine day. If you're born on December 25th, no one cares. 1576, died in 1620. A priest educated in Prague was martyred by the Hussites. Those jerks.
Your mother cares if you're born on December 25th.
Fair.
Your mother cares. Just about everybody else is like, we're supposed to be opening presents. Thanks.
Now we have to sit around and watch you open presents. No, if your birthday is Christmas, you totally celebrate your half birthday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yes. Saint Ambrose of Alexandria died 250. A rich nobleman who was a patron of Origen.
Huh. We also have Saint Gertrude of Nivelles, born 626, died 659. So that nice Jesus-y 33 years.
And she was possibly the only person here you heard of besides of they're in the Bible, so you know of them.
Mm-hmm. Benedictine abbess, mystic patron of travelers, gardeners, the mentally ill, and against mice, and 4 cats. Is this Gertrude the Great?
No, this is a different one.
The other St. Gertrude.
Yes. Yes, she has a lot of the same things, except for cats.
Yeah. Well, all Benedictines are going to be depicted the same way. So, those saints
are all the people who got a feast day on the 17th of March whose names are not Patrick. Oh, Patrick.
Oh, Patrick.
I'm slightly disappointed that there wasn't another saint named Patrick on the same day, so I could be like, okay, I gotta change this, and then be Saint Patrick. Not that one. But.
Saint Other Patrick. Saint Patrick the Less.
Next, we have all those saints whose feast days are on March 19th, who are not named Saint Joseph.
No, I mean, St. Patrick's Day is an occasional thing. On the church's official calendar, it's only an optional memorial.
Mm-hmm. It's just an American culture.
And it really is a regional thing. But St. Joseph, the Feast of St. Joseph is...
This is a solemnity. This is huge.
Everybody celebrates that one.
Yeah, so you're obligated to celebrate that.
And being overlooked during the Feast of St. Joseph, we have St. Quintius, who was martyred in Sorrento, Italy, with Quintilla, Mark, Quartilla, and companions. All the Q names might have been siblings.
I do appreciate a well-executed theme.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I just like that we know 4 of the names. 3 that start with Q and are probably a bunch of siblings.
So,
and Mark.
So here's
and there are some other people too.
So here's what I'm thinking.
And some dudes.
He was the 5th son.
Uh-huh.
That was the 5th daughter.
The 4th
and
daughter.
The 4th daughter.
Uh-huh. Quintilla. Quartilla.
And Mark and their companions.
Mm-hmm. 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 And then some dude named Mark.
Possibly a spouse or significant other to either Quintilla or Quartilla.
Mm-hmm. And then some hangers-on. Yeah. So you got to feel for and companions.
Those other people that were always hanging out with them. We never bothered to learn their names. They were kind of all... They just weren't that... They clearly were not the main players in the story.
And they didn't start with Q.
Yes.
Saint Pancharius died 303. A senator martyred during the reign of the co-emperor Maximian, who was a super jerk.
I mean, if you're going to, kill off your senators.
I mean, in fairness, most of the Roman emperors were super jerks.
Sure, but
there
were a few that were only kind of jerks, and there was probably at least one that was decent.
But I only dub Maximian a super jerk because he's one of the principal architects of the Great Persecution. He was co-emperor with Diocletian.
Oh, yeah.
Super jerk.
Super jerk. After that, we have Saint Leontius, died 640, a bishop of Saint in France.
Oui. Next, we have Saint Landoald, died 668, a priest who was a missionary to Belgium and northeastern France.
Almost Saint Lando. Well, he is Lando.
Landoald.
Yep. Then we have Saint Lactali, died 672, abbot and founder of an Irish abbey.
Well, all right.
This name.
Saint John the Syrian of Pinna.
Basically, explaining his name is our factoids.
Not to be confused with Saint John the Syrian of Sheboygan. A hermit from Syria who lived then in Pinna, Italy, also founded an abbey in Pinna and in Pesaro.
I'm glad that I'm glad that after having heard his name, I figured out, without having read the rest of the thing, exactly how that name worked.
Absolutely. No, it makes sense. It's just unusual. Although now I'm a little disappointed that he's St. John the Syrian of Pinna and not St. John the Syrian of Pinna and Pesaro.
Well, he founded an abbey. I don't know if he lived there.
We can complicate this.
Make it really complicated.
The next one has even more factoids.
Yeah.
Oh, you're being facetious.
Of course I am.
After that, we have...
That's kind of what we do here.
We have Saint Gemus, who was a Benedictine monk and may have been French.
French?
French? Question mark?
What does it mean to be French?
I feel like if somebody was having a conversation about him, they'd be like, "Oh, that French monk," and they'd be like, "Really? You think he's French?"
I mean, we don't know.
He's definitely a monk.
He's definitely a monk.
But we don't know when he lived, besides sometimes after the Benedictine order started, because we don't even have a death date on him. They might be a France.
We know he lived...
He might have been a Gaul.
We know he lived sometime after Jesus died. And he died sometime before Jesus came back.
We can be more specific than that. It was sometime after Benedict.
But still before the second coming.
Yeah, totally accurate. Totally accurate.
That's how I want people to describe my life. He was born sometime after Jesus died, and he died sometime before Jesus came back.
I don't know, because
just take notes.
There's that small group of people who died between Good Friday and Easter that technically that would also be correct for.
Sadly, my birthday was too late in the year for this.
All right, but we got one more that we've never heard of before because their feast day is always overridden by Saint Joseph.
So, Saint Adrian, who died in 668, was a disciple of Saint Landoald, or Landoald, who was killed by thieves near Maastricht in the Netherlands. So, both Saint Adrian and his master are both ignored. Mm-hmm. That's a rough draw.
Yeah. Although the internet insists that he counts as a martyr, where I feel like just because you were, begging because you're a begging order, then getting killed by thieves does not count as martyrdom.
I don't know.
I mean,
what if he was killed not with his own for his own stuff, but like for alms for the children?
Well, like if he died protecting the alms, I could kind of see it, but
But maybe
I just got that they listed him as a martyr. How did he die?
Killed by thieves.
Took his money.
Maybe the thieves killed him not because he was a beggar, not because he was a beggar with money, but because he was a Christian beggar with money.
In odium fide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, we just don't have enough details for me to be like, yep, definitely listing him as a martyr.
At least we know he was killed by thieves. Saint Gemus? Could have been. We don't know.
For all we know, Saint Gemus did some of the most amazing things within their time.
His miracles? Astounding. For how astounding? We don't even know.
But at the same time, for all we know,
unspeakable acts of good.
Saint Gemus was at best a holy doorstop.
We should be so fortunate.
We should be so fortunate. I pray that I will be so fortunate as to be a holy doorstop.
Mm-hmm. Or again, we've been through this. Companions.
Companions.
All right, so
just remember, if you want that end companions bit, if you see somebody who is actively being martyred, you need to go get in on that.
Hey, how about that guy?
Hey, don't do that. That's my friend.
What's his name? Master. I call him Master.
Look, a lot of people call him a lot of things. I call him Bob.
I call him Friend.
All right, so that is part 1 of March Saints that you've probably never heard of. Again, barring the one that's in the Bible.
But you had no idea when his feast was.
No.
But now you know.
Because it never comes around in the
liturgy. For all those of you, dear viewers, who are perhaps in a place where they don't very strictly celebrate St. Patrick's Day, or perhaps they celebrate St. Patrick's Day with perhaps just a little too much enjoyment, maybe you want to celebrate the feast day of St. Joseph of Arimathea.
No, because then you're still going to run into the Lenten problem.
I mean, but given how he's the patron saint of funeral directors, I can totally see a Lenten practice. You're like, all right, I'm going to update my will. I'm
going to update my will, make sure everything's paid for.
Yep, buy a plot.
Yep. Take a funeral director to lunch.
Yeah. Definitely take a funeral director to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Let him pay, because he can write it off. Because all you got to do is talk about planning for your estate, and he can write it off as business expense.
So, give this episode a like, subscribe to our channel. Give this episode a like, subscribe to our channel, ring the church bell to be notified the next time we talk about saints whose feast days are always overshadowed by something else.
And until next time, remember to live your faith.
Love your faith.
Share that love.